You had this business for 8 years.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so did you always have a plan on selling eventually, or no? Okay. So what was your mindset then? What were the challenges you faced on selling that first business?
As I was building the business, I feel like I'm somebody who's not necessarily like a visionary. You've got your people like Steve Jobs as a classic example, who kind of like is able to see into the future and sort of create something that hasn't been born yet. Whereas I think I am much more of a step-by-step type of person. So a goal becomes unlocked only when I am one step sort of away from it.
Yep.
Yeah. So when I started out in this tutoring business full time, my goal was literally just to get myself booked out. And then that happened in 2 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so then I was like, okay, well, what now? I feel really bad turning people away. So then that's when I started hiring tutors. And then before I knew it, I had this team of tutors working for me.
Yep.
So it was quite gradual. And then I would say about maybe like 4 or 5 years in, I sort of lost steam because I felt like I had done everything I wanted to do in the business and I wasn't sure where to go next. I didn't even know that selling the business was an option, to be honest. And so that's actually when I started to feel quite stuck. And I also at the same time was feeling like I had outgrown the business in some ways.
Yep.
For example, I was no longer tutoring myself. I was the CEO, I was the manager. And so I felt like the work wasn't as rewarding as it was when I was working one-on-one directly with the students. But beyond that, because they were high school students, I also felt that with me getting older, the conversations weren't the same anymore. And so...
Is that because you reckon the age gap was increasing?
Exactly.
Yep.
The age gap was increasing. And so I thought, okay, well, this is not as rewarding as it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me a good 2-3 years, I think, of just stumbling around, doing some spiritual deep dives into myself and what I wanted out of life. And in many ways, I had been successful, at least to my younger self. My 18-year-old self would have looked at me when I was like 30 and be like, damn, she's made it. But then when I was actually there, I was like, oh, this isn't as fulfilling as I would like for it to be. And it doesn't feel as aligned anymore.
Yep.
So yeah, it took quite some time. And then I think conversation after conversation, it got to a point where I realized, oh, I can actually try to sell this. So from the point of when I realized that to when I actually sold, it was probably another 2 years. Yeah.
Yep.
Of just, okay, I'm figuring out that I might want to sell. How do I start setting myself up for it? And then eventually, okay, yeah, I'm going to sell. And then finding the broker to help me and then finding the right person to actually buy the business.
Yep. And then did you already have an idea of what you wanted to do after? Or was this just plan to sell and then kind of live off, hey, just a quick announcement before we return to the podcast. If you're someone who's been feeling a bit stuck lately, maybe you're switching careers, rebuilding your routine, or just trying to get your life together, I get it. That's exactly why I write the Midweek Motivation newsletter, where every week I share real, honest thoughts on training, mindset, and the messy process of figuring life out. Especially for guys like us, we're in our 20s and 30s, just trying to get ahead in our careers, fitness, and performance. It's short and it's personal, and it might just give you the push you need during the middle of the week when it's least motivating. You can subscribe using the link in the show notes below, or go to substack.com and search up Midweek Motivation. All right, let's get back to the podcast. Those rewards for a bit and then figure it out.
So I am a little bit risk adverse, actually. I think I can take risks. Obviously, that's why I'm in business, but there's still part of me that does love safety. And so I actually started my current business, Tutor Boss, the coaching business, before I sold Lisa Study Guides.
Oh, right. Okay, so you're running 2 businesses.
I was running both. Yep. Yeah, so I was trying to build up my coaching just so that I could have some income coming through.
Yep.
Yeah. And I'm glad I did it. It was hard balancing both, but building the second business, it was immediately rewarding, actually, because I was working now with people who were adults, who were fellow entrepreneurs. So obviously there was like a lot that we could connect on automatically. Yeah. And I went back to my roots of teaching. which I really enjoy.
Oh, great. So it's good that you really know like what you are passionate about. Just found another avenue where you can continue living with that passion, but also scale it as well.
Yeah.
I think it's very common these days where now the next step for entrepreneurs is to how can I coach someone else, into doing what I was doing.
Yeah.
And same with PT, like there's only so many hours a day I can coach one-on-one or even group classes, but then at the same time, I'm like, that's a lower ticket option. One-on-one is obviously the high bit, and then you got online coaching, but it's the same thing. You run out of hours during the day, and some busier weeks, it's harder to keep the energy nice and high. Like, coming from a PT background, I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah.
But then, the next step would be trying to, well, for a lot of coaches is to coach others. Yeah. So that's really cool that you kind of went on that path in that direction. So how did you find your leadership skills? Was this something that you had natural talent for already, or did you have to learn a lot of mistakes along the way?
Man, I was not a good leader.
Okay, tell me.
I have learnt so much along the way, actually. And I guess it's a good thing now because I think because leadership didn't come so naturally to me, I really had to make all the mistakes and figure out my leadership style, which now makes it easier for me to teach someone because I know how much they're struggling with it. I made all the mistakes, micromanaging, firing people without giving them notice, like all of it. I have done it.
Okay.
And I think the reason why I didn't really have natural talent for it was I just don't think I've ever really been in those positions before. And also being in the workforce for only 11 months, like I never had that structure and really saw my own manager leading me. Like it was just too short of a time for me to really glean anything. So what was the question?
Just your leadership skills, how's that evolved over time?
Yeah.
What does it look like today now that you've known the mistakes? What is maybe like one or two things that you've like really focused on now, so that way you can keep your retention of your contractors?
Yeah. So I would say my leadership style is I lead with trust. So I'm very much about, okay, I believe in you to make this happen. It's very much about empowerment and giving people autonomy.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because then I think they rise up to the challenge, and it's actually really nice to see it happen. The second thing that I really believe in as well, I think it's just treating your people like actual people.
Yeah.
Not treating them like a number, not treating them like someone who you're just paying to get something in return. Like, it's not transactional. I think for me, and maybe this is just like part of my personality as well, like I quite like people. And so I think it's a strength of mine to harness that and actually be invested in my team's lives and who they are as people, in their hobbies, and really just follow up with whatever's going on with them. Because I think if you've got a solid relationship, the work will follow.
Yeah, definitely. And you want to be treated the same way as how you would be treated, right? If you were in their shoes,